I will be honest, Abel hasn't had the greatest of forms on the Samira so far this split, so very much appreciate that he's maybe moving back towards something like the Varus, get that priority in that bot side, use that early to mid-game power spike to gain dragon control, and maybe win the game from there.
Yes, lock it in, Creme. Another Yone game into OMG's pockets where Creme has been really enjoying this champion in patch 13.4, but I need to mention that the Ashe is still currently open, so FPX, they either need to deny it or they're up against something like the Varus and Ashe, where you need to have that sustain or all-in potential when it comes to the 2v2 in bottom lane, as you are opting into banning something like the Wukong and Aphelios out in this first banning phase. So really depends on how FPX is going to maneuver this. I would much prefer the Ashe getting taken away, but Lwx, he calls your bluff and he does not care, opting into bad matchups, as he is one of the more exciting players, to say the least, when it comes to the variety of ADCs that he enjoys.
Absolutely. We'll see what he ends up going for here. The Vayne would be almost impossible to pilot, I feel, into a Varus. So yeah, that makes a lot more sense in my eyes. Get the Renekton, get yourself a fairly solid top lane gang. And this is the thing as well. Obviously, the big meme with the Renekton is like, you know, oh, he's not a late game champion or anything like that. I don't believe that at all. I actually think you take the Renekton because not only is he very few bad matchups in that top lane, but also all he takes is one flash stun onto someone like the Varus, and that Varus is dead. That stun takes so long and does so much damage, especially if it's empowered. So a lot of power available to FPX if they're able to get one going. But the Bomba, as you said, has been locked and loaded here. That's a little bit of a flex as well. That could be into the Renekton. It could technically be into the jungle as well. We could see where they want to kind of go for that one there. Could see it mid, maybe the Yone top. Lots of moving parts here. OMG, I would not put it past them to be the kind of team that would be willing to try something a little bit different as we go into the second ban phase.
Yep, that's the best thing about Gragas in this current patch. So much flexibility. Even in terms of build, where we see Dark Harvest and sometimes Aurora, the Ashe does get taken off here. I'm pretty surprised that OMG didn't opt into this Ashe pick. It has been slightly nerfed because of the Umbral Glaive change, but it's still a wonderful matchup. But I like to call FPX's top side the Holy Trinity. You have Sejuani, and I genuinely think two of the best solo laners that pair well with the Sejuani is the Sylas, is the Renekton. They have so much mid-game skirmishing power, and when it does come to the 2v2, they also have that damage that Sejuani lacks so much in the early games. So what is FPX going to pick for their bottom lane? Well, they can either opt into all-in, but you do need to know that they are lacking a bit of range, so maybe something like the... Jerry's been taken off. Ooh. Caitlyn?
Yeah.
Caitlyn Lux? Caitlyn Lux. Come on,
Caitlyn's already banned.
We saw his day. Oh.
Yeah, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it's looking like it's probably a Xayah Rakan maybe, but even then. But I was gonna say you can probably take the Rakan here as OMG, so you can go with the Xayah, but you're not gonna have the most optimal of matchups.
You hear the disappointment in my voice as the Caitlyn got banned out. Yes, Lwx, he doesn't care. Or he kind of cares with the Xayah hover, but Rakan has already been taken off the board. Something like the Lulu, where it provides a bit of peel, or at least backline stability for FPX would work wonderfully. Or even maybe something like the Nautilus, as you are up against something, as you are up against Varus, which doesn't have that mobility available. But yes, we have the Kaisa Nautilus.
Kaisa Nautilus looking like it's going to be the lock-in here. So they're going for full dive on the side of FPX. They are extremely short range. I love this if it gets into a kind of an even setup and they're able to get their team fights. However, if this ends up being locked in, they are going to have such a hard time if they get put behind. A Varus and a Gragas just poking you out constantly means that these team fights are going to be horrendous if you get put behind. So FPX, they got to be aggressive, and they got to be aggressive early.
Oisin, I want 20 kills by 20 minutes. Lwx and Chocho locking in this Kaisa Nautilus means we are going to get so much action for this early game, especially with that Renekton and Sylas in their pockets as well. But like you said, the lack of range, definitely a huge point to worry about for FPX, as they are up against something like the Varus and Yone. So if you get poked out too much, well, that's just a team fight over for you, as you don't have that sustain. Kaisa can't go the BT build. It just doesn't work as well on her. So for the side of OMG, I mean, they're going relatively standard. Something that has been working for them for the previous weeks is that Yone. They blind it, and it isn't a decent matchup where the Sylas doesn't do too well into you, and they are pockets of this Kaisa, as I think when it does come to these bottom tier teams, or leaning more towards the bottom of the standings, they should not play standard. They should play what they're comfortable with, force things to happen in the early game, disrupt the tempo of what teams are most used to nowadays, which is scaling and getting those items online. And they have so much lockdown with the Sejuani and Tutu on this Nautilus, where I think these picks that they're looking for will be very easy to execute.
You hear the crowd in Shanghai very enthusiastic of seeing where they could go, but for the moment, FPX and OMG very happy to do a very standard start. No one going to be doing too crazy or too ridiculous. It's actually going to be the on-hit Varus rather than the lethality, as he has got the lethal tempo. So already knowing that he's not going to be in any real danger of dying in his bot lane, or rather, unless he makes a mistake. So he's going with that Cole. So he's going to have a little bit more of an item spike available to him earlier on than the Lwx, who has had to go a little bit more defensive. We might see a hook. It's just going to be a little bit of trade back damage here. Ppgod should be fine though, has got the heal. Should be grand in the grand scheme of things to be able to kind of keep this one going in his favor.
I'm gonna be real with you, Oisin. I think this cold start level 1 is extremely disrespectful as Ppgod gets hooked a second time, burning the flash. As OMG is getting forced out of lane. He just doesn't have the stats compared to a Kaisa for these level 1 trades. And OMG bottom lane already suffering the consequences as Hacker did start his red buff, so he realistically could look towards his bottom lane as Shuju has been landing all of these.
Pretty well right now as all lanes going in favor of FPX for the moment. Level 2 going to be hit as well, so you're not really going to be able to go for any kind of setup. Another hook lands, and that's going to be more damage. Flash forward, and he's just dead. Lwx being aggressive was being aggressive, flashy with an instant Betty's buff, and that's Shanji picking up the kill in top side. So not to be outdone despite OMG's very shaky bot side. The top lane and jungler answer back.
Yes, 2 kills at 2 minutes. Can we get 10 by the 10-minute mark is my question, Oisin. But Tutu playing this Nautilus extremely well, landing all of his hooks onto Ppgod in that level 1. Able having the cleanse available. Hacker is around, however.
Here we go, Lwx! He drops the Ppgod who had got the ignite now. Hacker looking for something.
Just
Able though, putting down
Hacker,
word.
no.
He does get the kill, but it's Ppgod picking up 2 for himself. Now Chocho, where you going? Aki knows that you have nowhere to be, nowhere to go. The red buff tick. One more auto attack would be enough. One more barrel would be it. He has flash. He's got the dredge line, and he keeps himself alive. Not the worst of situations for FPX, but they just went a little bit too far too soon.
Oh, Lwx really wanted Able dead there. He did not want this Varus catching that 2-wave stacked under tower, as Hacker even committing after his ADC has died to the tower. But this is going to be the first blood on how Ppgod died and gave first blood over, with Lwx following up with a nice flash. But that first blood went into the hands of a Nautilus, and Fearness, with his wave being in this current state, Aki notices that the Sejuani is towards that bottom side, so he just forces this without any problem.
We are coming to a very aggressive game. I said that OMG, another team that like to skirmish, that like to kind of build their advantages just from laning prowess, but they're not being allowed to right now. I think the bot lane is playing exactly as it should for FPX. They need to be aggressive. They need to be the ones pushing forward and making sure they are gaining off of these, you know, very aggressive bot lane kind of setups. But for the moment, we are going to see Hacker make his way up towards this top side as he wants to maybe catch out Shanji. Very difficult to really see how this one could work. As I say, he's just got a double kind of setup, and he's going to move straight in. There's going to be the W, no flash, because he's got Ghost. And they're going to be able to pop him off pretty damn easily. Fearness picks up that kill, and we are got ourselves 3-3 in kills.
Beautiful gameplay from the LPL. This is the LPL that I wanted. 6 kills at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. But I remember the last time Ppgod was on this Rakan, he had all the kills, might I add. I believe we casted that together, and it was quite the fun game to witness, to say the least. As the top lane is an extremely volatile state right now, as Shanji had to burn that Ghost earlier, and he was just trying to get his wave in, and Hacker caught onto this and gets the kill onto the Ksante. Not going to matter too much, however. I think when it does come to a later game, the Renekton is going to just join in on the 5v5s, as the Ksante is unkillable in the side lane. So the most vulnerable state is still going to be the bot lane 2v2.
Volatile indeed. Are we going to have a Hex Flash? We are. I think he avoids vision by doing that, because he wasn't caught out. So they don't know that he's in that brush. And Abel is kind of by himself, so I would love for them to be able to push this wave. If you're an OMG fan, oh, Chocho thinks he's on vision, so he's just going to walk away from that one. But that could have been a very, very unique little kind of setup there for Chocho to make sure that he got the kill.
This wave is huge. I'm sure FPX considered diving this, but they don't know any intel onto Aki as they try to look for it too. Gank on this mid lane. It's not going to do too much, however, as he is just pushing in the wave. But once again, kills onto Lwx. He is the Kaisa compared to like, the Sylas and Renekton, where they won't scale as well. Ppgod engaging onto Lwx, needing to dip out. Both junglers hovering, living in the walls as a Hacker starts this dragon on vision.
He is on vision. Will have the priority of his bot laner. No TP on Creme either, so it's going to be a 4v3 at best for OMG. So maybe they look for something now. They just got to let it go. They know they don't really have an opportunity. They just back everybody away. So first dragon of the game goes over to FPX. That's going to be a nice little bit of tenacity for them as they get that Chem dragon for themselves. And FPX kind of happy with the start of the game, you would imagine.
But you need to remember that it is 3-3 in FPX. They do have all the the early game champions, but you won't scale as well into something like the Yone and Ksante when it does come to these 5v5 skirmishes. But FPX, I mean, probably not the most ideal due to that dive happening early on in the game. A 2-for-1 trade as Chuchu barely gets out with his life. The wave is once again stacking towards the side of Abel. With that cold start, he is lacking a bit in terms of DPS, so they don't win a straight up 2v2 just quite yet.
Plates over to Shanji. Doing fairly well in this lane. And this is kind of what we come to expect for OMG. They're very, very solid at just making sure they kind of have those advantages for themselves. Aki now recognizing he has been spotted. Isn't level 6 on the Gragas just yet. Ppgod going to be hit up here by a hook, but with plenty of ways of trading back here. This is kind of what we expected to see as Lwx throws out the Void Seeker.
Hacker's back with level 6. Cleanse available,
yes,
however.
I was going to say this wave also crashing means that we should see Abel getting level 6 as well. So not quite actually getting it off it. So not able to make most of that. As Creme it's a soul unbound and immediately going to have to use his bait seal. Care a little bit too early there on a Viscond abduct to try and catch him before he went back. So not able to lock him up. And everyone backs themselves away. It's not going to mean much more than just the Herald priority, as everyone is very happy for FPX to have this early priority. OMG know that they're not really going to be able to contest it.
Yeah, relatively good start as all the major objectives are falling to the hands of Hacker. Aki is going to spot them as they already lost all that priority from the solo lane being pushed in, so that's going to be Herald for the side of FPX. Hopefully we get to see this Herald dropped to Lwx as he's already having a relatively good start to the lane. Walking very far forward, having that cleanse available, so maybe he was just kind of calling Abel's bluff. He's like, you won't ult me.
Not a chance. I'm going to call your bluff. No, absolutely no way they're going to go for it, but after a very hectic start, it is pretty much even across the board. Still a Herald and a Dragon to the good here, though, for FPX, so they're going to be pretty happy with the way things are currently standing. Predator, actually, I didn't actually notice there for Aki on this Gragas, so he's going to be looking to be a bit more aggressive now that he has those soft shoes finished up, as more slaps are exchanged in that mid lane. I will say Care isn't really going to be able to come out on top of those skirmishes just because he's got the Vampiric Scepter here built up for Creme, and he doesn't have mana, so he's just relying on cooldown.
My favorite thing about Gragas being in the jungle position is that he goes full AP. He explodes people around the map. A barrel and his ultimate and the ADC is gone. Especially with Lwx not being able to go that Immortal Shield bow on Kaisa, usually something like the Kraken or the Gale Force for a more offensive option. Aki, I mean, if you go into the wrong zone, he is going to be extremely scary as Mr. Bomber.
See what they want to try and make here. First item, Sunfire Cape, though, built up for Hacker, means that he's a fairly tanky man at this point in time in the game. Chocho roaming around with him. Gonna drop a ward over this wall. See that there are 2 people waiting for him over the brush. Hacker gets spotted by 1 just the same. So more and more priority kind of given over to OMG as they are kind of keeping tabs on where the Sejuani should be going. And I will say that Fearness on this Renekton, yes, he has a kill, but he is falling significantly behind there. And you can even see with the plates as well. Nearly 3 taken by Shanji completely on his own. So This is the Ksante that will have, I think right now, has the Iceborne Gauntlet, so, or a Frostborn Gauntlet, and it's just going to be able to do so much more now with this priority that he's garnered, honestly, by himself.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen an OMG game without Shanji proxying the enemy top laner. He's just always between the tier 1 and tier 2 tower. Not scared at all. The Herald is going to get dropped for Care, however, trying to open up the map and give Care that extra bit of gold to get his roll on and available. But look at the gold graph. Shanji's sitting pretty on top. Even though he died first, he just came back with all the tower plates going to his hands and getting that frozen... what is... Iceborne Gold? I was going to call it Frozen Heart for some reason.
Yeah, it's very blue, and it does look like it's kind of almost the kind of same setup. Yeah, it's harder to tell, harder to tell, but it definitely feels a lot more less diverse as it kind of becomes the same thing to build up. But OMG now off their resets, back out onto the map, got priority in bot, priority in mid. Do FPX want to go for a bit of a fight? It would be dangerous, but Lwx on the spot side would be able to maybe join in as he get his ultimate available. Yeah, has got the Kraken available to him. There's extra 2 assists and a little bit of extra CS kind of helping him towards that first item. But second dragon goes to OMG, and we have an Ocean Rift as the nature of the world takes form and everyone just trying to enjoys the fruits that have got a little bit more available across the rift and more brushes.
Yep, more brushes and more fruits and more veggies. Eat your veggie, kids. But I'm pretty surprised the second dragon did go into the hands of OMG, as you had the Kaisa with the Kraken, so they just were too scared with Ppgod setting up that vision early on compared to Chul, which is something that we are lacking from the side of FPX, as the mid support duo aren't working together. Or at least I don't see that synergy just quite yet, as Fearness is getting chunked out by a full tank Ksante, but this is just how the matchup goes. If Renekton isn't able to bully Ksante out in the first, I would say 6 levels, once items come online, you're never going to win him in a 1v1 because he's just so tanky with that armor.
Well, might see a little bit of a move here. They're trying to hold everything, and they will. Creme does get the feet sealed to buffer everything, and they can turn this one back as well, as Care was tanking up that turret. Now they're just trying to make sure that there's no real damage to come back in. On top of this, Aki with the Predator, looking to maybe get for a flash belly bot, but nothing else to happen from here. I will say it did cost the flash of Creme, but nobody flashed on the side of FPX. Both supports losing their ignites, but good little turn back around there from OMG as FPX look to be aggressive.
Something I really like when Creme is on this Yone is that he never gets caught out easily. He diffuses the play perfectly. Chuju having flash available, Abel's a little bit caught out, so if Lwx wants to fly onto him, I think that was a very viable angle. He didn't take it though. Definitely one of the more easy options to opt into, as Varus is alone in this bottom lane because Ppgod was caught clearing out some vision. But yeah, once again, this Yone on Creme, he is diffusing all of these plays where FPX is looking a little bit desperate with no action happening in the past 10 minutes.
Okay, it's been thought we were gonna have a lot more happening after we had 6 kills in 4 minutes or so, but not to be. Both teams very happy just to scale up, get their first items under their belt up to level 11 and become scaling monsters, and would still love to see Creme maybe pick up his first item before he looks for any kind of real engagement. We really do want that Immortal Shield Bow to come out, and everyone is kind of working towards what looks like setting up for this Rift Herald. So with the priority you've garnered in mid and bot, it looks like Kaisa's going to have the first roam, but you can't leave this Varus alone to his own devices in that bot side. That tower will fall. It's already below half, so you can't really just let that one go if you're going to be on the side of FPX, because you don't really gain that much more of this Rift Herald take either.
It does seem like Lwx is also rotating towards this Herald just to make sure it falls into the hands of FPX. Care a little bit caught out engaging with Chul.
He is engaging. They're going to look to try and burst him out. The Fate Seal catches them. Chocho has to flash away, and they bring Lwx right back into the fight, who flashes away to make sure he can stay safe. While it's been happening, Hacker's trying to take away this Rift Herald, but he might actually have to try and turn and burn. He needs to use the ultimate defensively to make sure he can secure it. Now Hacker's in a bad position because he doesn't know where to go. He needs to figure out an escape plan, but he's being corralled. Flashes over, maybe gets himself the blast code. No, they're going to follow him over. You have nowhere to go, nowhere to hide, and you will be sacrificed to OMG on their masquerading crusade to taking this series. FPX, they were doing everything so right. They were dotting their I's, they were crossing their T's, and then they let it all go to damn.
Oisin, it upsets me to think that FPX, they had that Herald guaranteed for Hacker. He was soloing it, but Care, he decided to opt into a 3v4 where they were lacking in, oh well, a 3v3, but Care just got instantly one-shot by this Gragas ultimate with the Yone ult connecting as well. Just let Hacker get that Herald. You have the Varus picking up CS in the bottom lane, but it doesn't matter. This was going to be a good play out of FPX, but they just forced into a losing fight. Hacker does manage to get that Herald. This is going to be the coaches. Yes, opt into that bad play. Go for it, FPX. I can't.
You must. It's not about can or cannot. You must. It's just how it is.
I can't. Why is it we? Why isn't it we can't, Oisin?
Yeah. Because we must trudge on and see how this game ends. That is our job. That is our solemn duty to the LPL community. Now 6-3, 4,000 gold out of nowhere. Yes, you got the Rift Herald, but can you use a Care, seeing if he can maybe make a bit of a dent, but only getting his Rod of Ages stacking now. Speaking of stacking, these Drakes are going to be stacking as Aki picks up the second one of for his team, third of the game. As FPX did stop that first one from going over. Here we go, all out as we're going to have Fearness taking a fair chunk now as Shanji wants to try and kite this out a little bit better. Will not get the knockback. Does get the Dominus out. Does use that Rift Herald in mid lane for FPX to make sure they guarantee themselves the mid turret. And everything kind of resets once more.
OMG is going to pick up this third dragon, which is the second one for them, but with everything happening in that mid lane, Abel was getting that tier 1 tower, which has fallen now. FPX now changing their attention to this top side. Shanji caught out.
Yeah, no ult from him either. He does buffer a fair bit in the CC, but he will fall as he ends up getting taken out by Fearness. That was just really smart play there by FPX, recognizing, look, Shanji went all out. He does not have any way of making this one back into the lane or making the turnaround play, so he is going to have to TP to make sure he does not lose the wave, and they capitalized perfectly on it.
Yeah, Creme was just sitting in this bottom lane while Shanji could have just TP'd to the tower. He didn't expect the entire crew of FPX to be hovering this top side, and he unfortunately fell as a result. But we need to do an item checkup as OMG has most of their mythics online now, other than Chiu in the entire game. But this Yone is slowly getting out of control as he is already applying that side lane pressure. We already see it in the bottom lane as Fearness, he is that Renekton, but he isn't able to 100-0 someone with that Immortal Shield Bow.
Yeah, the Immortal Shield Bow for Creme and Abel means that it'll be difficult for the big crocodile to really get any purchase with his kills, but maybe it's not about him getting the kill. Maybe it's about just doing enough damage to maybe proc the Immortal Shield Bow, just putting in enough pressure to burn summoners. Plenty that he can still be doing as we see the Guinzu's Raised Blade now being finished up here by Abel, so we've got that on hit there. But a Phantom Dancer for Lwx, so Lwx is not to be outdone right now. He is still very significant in terms of his carry potential as this Kaisa. And with 45 seconds or so till Baron, it looks like everyone's kind of hovering up towards this top side. Both teams would take it fairly quickly, but it's still a risky thing to be going for unless you can get 2 or 3 kills very much around this pit.
I believe they're just trying to gain that vision for this Baron as the Ksante is bottom. However, I think when it does come to these 5v5 aspects, the Kraken Kaisa is going to be a huge point for FPX's victory, or at least coming out on top, because she is kind of acting as that sole DPS for these teamfights so far. Fearness, he is on a Renekton. Unless he gets his hands and flashes onto someone like Abel, I only see him acting as that front to back or front line for this Kaisa. But OMG, if they're able to create space for Abel, who is going the on-hit build, and they're able to kind of diffuse FPX's initial engage, it could look pretty good as Creme can find extra kills into his pockets. Care. Ooh.
Yeah, he stalled them on the outline of the sweeper, so backs himself away immediately as OMG get themselves the third and final outer turret of this particular game. We are going to slow down once more. No one wants to be making too much of a move. And I will say OMG, kind of more teams in our league, third slowest average game time. you know, FPX not too much quicker than them, but you are
Oisin,
right?
I spy with my little eyes. Abel is going Zhonya's on Varus.
He is going Zhonya's. He even picked up a Dark Seal as well, so... Sorry, you scared the absolute bejesus out of me because I didn't know what
That is
happened
scary.
there.
What do you mean? I mean, I'm not scared. Abel is scared, building that Zhonya's as he does notice the all-in potential from FPX. I do believe Varus has AP scaling, so it's not the worst, but it does make his damage a little bit more questionable. I don't think I've ever seen this just quite yet. Could have perhaps been done in another league, which I have to check up on, but I'm excited to see what this offers in this game.
Yeah, I mean, his Blighted Quiver does end up stacking with magic damage, so it's it is an interesting kind of setup here, as we can see that, you know, kind of looking towards more getting 3 autos off and then or 3 Blighted Quivers off, but there's no vision here. Like, zero vision right now for FPX. They have no idea. And then you look at the Christmas tree that is red wards here for OMG. They are just saying, you sneeze in this top half of the map and we're going to know about it.
Achoo! Okay, I sneeze and I still don't see any vision being planted for the side of FPX. Care walking up. If he, I mean, he knows that Dragon is going to be spawning, so most of OMG is going to be around that bottom side, just picking up extra CS. But 2 Dragons in the hands of OMG, potentially even giving this soul point to them, definitely something that you don't want to be doing as that early to mid skirmishing team composition. Can they stop Baron here? They're just giving up this bowling priority.
I don't think they can. Like, yes, they'll do it fairly decently, but I don't think they can really just give it up completely. There's going to be a hook, and Chocho misses. Would have been a stopwatch available for Aki, so he knows he would have been relatively safe. And yeah, I mean, this is feeling like regular FPX. Why they're a 2-9 team at the bottom of the standings, because they are not really a team that knows what to do with that mid game. It's coming in, they've just been kind of losing bit by bit. It's now a 4,000 kind of setup. Actually, that was a chain of corruption, as we can see now. Chocho going for a hook on the Ppgod, who gets the knock up as well. They haven't fully committed to this one here yet. They're just going to get the flash here out of the Nautilus. And now with the Dragon live, you can see FPX have turned their attention to the much bigger objective. There's actually no need to take those plants here for OMG because they're so healthy. They don't really mind what's going on here. There's no damage right now from FPX. Here we go. They're going to go for the ult. They're going to immediately burn down Ppgod. He doesn't even get a chance to use his quickness or his flash. Ghost has been popped here by Shanji as Creme is moving them away from the side of the mid lane and trying to push them forward. Already getting the Fate sealed. That means that we are not going to have a contest around this Dragon. And Ppgod just goes a little bit too close to the sun, gets punished, and that's going to be Dragon for FPX.
OMG, however, they want to respond with something like the Baron Force, as they're expecting FPX to reset with Care showing in that bottom lane. TP available, however.
TP is available. Haven't pulled the trigger on it just yet. Chocho moving forward, and they are now knowing that the Baron is being taken. Down to about half HP, down to about 4,000 HP. There's a TP. Do they look to try and finish this one off? No, they do not. Abel trying to see if he can get away from this one here, but he's just not able to run away. He will be shut down, taken out. FPX have called OMG's bluff, but it's not over yet. Aki over the side here, maybe looking for a little bit of a steal. They have vision on it, 2,000, maybe down to 4,000. They're going to try and jump in. Aki gets over the wall. He keeps stealing, and he gets himself the objective. They'll lose everybody else except for Creme, but they will get the Baron. I don't think Care wants that fight, because he is very, very low. But FPX, they thought they were handed a golden opportunity, but Aki saves it for OMG at the last second.
OMG starts the Baron, and we thought this Baron was going to go into the hands of FPX by getting that pick here. As I was just going to say, thanks for the leash, OMG, but Aki comes back and says, hey, this is still a 50-50, and he flashes in and secures it here. It was a bit of a risky play, as you do know the Gragas is still across the wall. They also spot this. I'm surprised that Care didn't jump over just to stop us alongside Fearness, as Aki just comes in, flashes, and smites it away. And OMG, another breather, but definitely a lifesaver from Aki.
Yeah, I mean, even Ppgod getting in there, putting in one last auto attack to bring it down to just under 1,200 HP. So the Baron is secured, but it is only on one member of OMG. It is only going to be going on to Creme and that side lane, which isn't the worst in the world, I've got to admit. Definitely seen it on worse people, but now we come back into live. It is still a 3,000. Well, it's actually about 2,500 gold lead in favor of OMG. They are 2 dragons apiece, and FPX found themselves plenty of gold to be working at. 3 items here onto Lwx. He's got himself the Lord Dominic's regard, so he's going to be shredding through someone like Ksante, someone like the Gragas, as the rest of the team now push themselves in this bot lane. Fearness has got a stopwatch, so it would be difficult for them to really make this one stick, but he knows he doesn't want to take the fight at all. Top lane turret gets traded, but still definitely trading up here if you're OMG.
It's definitely very concerning that FPX is sitting on that 9 kills, but they are 3k gold down just from pure towers falling around the map. And with this Baron also in the hands of OMG, they are going to start pressuring the side lanes. Care we haven't seen too much. I believe he was 1 KP until that Baron fight. But when you are up against someone like Yone in the hands of Creme, I think you definitely want to be forcing a lot more, especially with the ultimates available, the Rakan or the Varus, or even something like the Gragas, or that can disposition the enemy team. You have to be more proactive, and that's something we see from the bottom tier teams, where they are very hesitant in engaging, and we see how scared they are in making mistakes, where a lot of these top tier teams, they do just catch on people's mistakes and they never let the enemy team breathe.
It's kind of coming back to what we were talking about OMG. They're a team that level up or down depending on your expectations to the team they are playing against. It's still a minute 40 until the next dragon spawns, so not really in a position to be seeing them go for a full fight. Maybe it's just a full defense as Ppgod and the rest of his team trying to shadow on Shanji to make sure he does not get engaged upon. But again, OMG, they can beat down kings like JDG in the same week that they may lose to AL. It's just the dichotomy of this team and how they end up playing. They either overestimate, underestimate either side of their kind of setup. So OMG is just going to be a team that needs to try and find consistency. They are a good team. They've got great potential if they can just get that consistency going for themselves. Getting 157 gold in the Baron power play. Honestly, it could have been a lot worse. I take that as an absolute win.
Most definitely. I mean, just with how this game 1 is going, a lot of worrying signs for the side of OMG, because this is FPX. They're currently in that 15th position, I believe. So it's going to be really tough trying to come back, but with that Baron going to your pockets is going to save them a little bit. But I believe Lwx, with these 3 items picking up, maybe even a GA for that 4th, just to secure these teamfight wins and make sure he doesn't get popped by something like Aki's combo. Dragon spawning in 20, a lot of flashes available, so if FPX gets their hands onto the carries of OMG, Zhonya's is going to get popped, but I think they can just kill him since he's stabilized.
Yeah, I will say that I think if you're going to go either GA or Zhonya's, especially with the kind of, you're going to get dived upon, I actually kind of prefer Zhonya's, to be perfectly honest. You can pick and choose when you go into stasis, rather than waiting for yourself to die and then not having the kind of setup. But now Chocho, he doesn't get over the wall! And they get the blast as well! Oh, he's Mr. Bombastic. Everything's fantastic, and that's going to be Aki picking himself up the dragon. The TP comes up top lane to make sure Care does not get a trade back of a kill. And this is just going fantastically for OMG. They find an opportunity, they pull the trigger, and they get everything.
And they get everything. Choo flashing into the wall as Creme also stops the top lane push that Care was pressuring on the side. But OMG, they're slowly coming back into this game after throwing from mid lane. A lot of tiny mistakes coming out of this Nautilus, a bit disappointing, as Chuchu was trying to get vision by himself, and that goes back to my point about we don't see the same jungle support synergy out of FPX, and it's really affecting the vision control that they're able to get onto the map. Also getting ulted back in this position from the Gragas ultimate means this 3rd dragon, putting them on soul point for OMG at the 30-minute mark.
Soul point, 2 kills went over as well, and a couple of stacks on that Dark Seal as we did get 2 of those kills going straight over to Abel. So already building up towards the AP. I wonder if he'll go Nashor's Tooth next, just to see if he can, get the on-hit / AP build going completely. It would be an interesting kind of setup. Actually is going towards a needlessly large, so definitely embracing the AP element of this particular style of build. Everyone kind of resets themselves back out. But again, it's little moments like this where you're getting caught out, where you're forcing them into moments where the chain of corruption can come out, they can get the bomb down. Hacker trying to run away as fast as he can, but you cannot run away from fate, as your fate has been sealed. Another kill going over as the Nautilus has fallen. There's Kaisa going down, and out of nowhere, FPX have been routed, destroyed completely and utterly decimated, and OMG decided this game needs to be over.
Oisin, name me a more iconic duo. FPX's bottom lane and flashing into walls. Even Lwx, he got ulted away by the Ksante. Having that flash available, he just face bumped into one. And now OMG gonna open up the base with that 4-for-0 trade. All started with Hacker getting called for another bit of vision, and this Baron also just getting started. I mean, this game state, the Yone is online, the Ksante is extra thick at this state. It's gonna look so hard for FPX to come back.
I mean, it's almost impossible at this stage of the game, but Inhibitor gets taken, Baron goes down, everyone gets a reset. Let's have a look at the replay here, because again, it's just Hacker going a little bit too far forward. He has kind of got support, but not really.
Yeah, Hacker was still holding onto his flash here, so he could have just gone out here. He was a little bit too greedy, connected by the Varus ultimate, and then all of the spells used onto the Sejuani, and then Creme just follows up with that ultimate as well. As Renekton didn't expect this fight to go as long. Look at Lwx, he flashed into the wall as Lwx Kaisa up against a full of, I believe, 3-item Ksante, so you're never going to win that duel. Oh, it's so tough because these team fights, it's just FPX getting slowly caught out one by one, and they scatter as a result of it.
We come back into live, 8,000 gold lead, 3 dragons to the good of 2. OMG very much on course to take this win, and look, it took a while. Definitely some shaky moments from OMG as FPX were able to kind of find opportunities. Actually a death cap from Abel as a 4th item right now. He's going to probably turn that Dark Seal into a Medjai's, considering it already has 9 stacks. So that is a disgusting amount of damage is going to be able to come out. If he can get his ultimate down and straight into the piercing arrow, that's just going to be you dead. Especially if you're someone like Care or Lwx, you do not have any resistance. Actually, look, straight up, nobody has any magic resistance whatsoever. That's like insane. Gragas and Varus will destroy you.
They got totally baited out by this Varus and Yone. They were like, yeah, I'll just build armor, but in reality, Abel picking up that Rabadons and Yone naturally doing 40 or 30% AP from just his kit. This top side inhibitor is going to get threatened. Huge damage out of the AP Varus.
What is that? They already get the GA. Your fate is sealed. The Nautilus and Renekton should go into Valhalla together. Kaisa will be shortly following them, and this game is done, Kitty. A clean 5-for-0 ace. It took a while to get the gears going, but once they got going, this was a freight train into FPX's face, and OMG will not be denied a Game 1 victory.
Game 1 goes into the hands of OMG, and all I'm going to say is let Abel cook on this Varus as he starts it off with the Zhonya's and Rabadons for tonight. Definitely did a lot of damage when we saw the later team fights as Renekton got popped from the Varus W getting sacked up. Never doubted them for a second. That's cap if I say that, because the Baron was getting flipped, but Aki coming in as that hero, smiting it away from that 50-50 flip, brought them back.
I mean, it really did. It feels like OMG went for a Baron that they really had no real right to go for right there. You got the TPs, you should have backed away, but decided to fully commit to it. And Aki, the hero that keeps the Baron in their favor, means the gold doesn't take a massive swing against them. FPX aren't able to get all that standing gold. And then little by little, bit by bit, OMG just found themselves in a much more positive position. And I gotta say, this Yone for Creme, I'm adding it to the list right now, Kitty. It's a Kali, a Sylas, and it's Yone. This guy is building up more and more champions, and I'm like, I don't think you can let this guy have it, because he's showing such a high level of proficiency on these champions that, and because of the nature of how it is, it opens up so many cool and diverse ways you can play the game.
I wrote it down on an imaginary note, Oisin, to the FPX
keep
coach.
it there. I'll come back for that later.
Don't let Creme get Yone, I think, guys.
Yeah, it's that simple. It really is. But FPX, there were some positives from them, but again, we're seeing a lot of the same issues we've always kind of seen from them, where it's like they have these little sparks of greatness or sparks of really positive play, and it just doesn't really formulate into anything. Come the mid game, they don't really know what to do. They're left standing there, you know, like John Travolta, looking around, just kind of, what's going on? Like, what do we do now? So, yeah, as you can see there was a moment or two where they may have been able to bring it back, but just too much damage coming out from Creme.
Way too much damage, and we set FPX's entire team composition to be that early to mid-game skirmishing team comp, but they never looked for more kills other than out of laning phase. And we saw, I believe, mentioning in a specific instance where Abel was alone in that bottom lane, Choo flash ulti, and Lwx could have just flown over, but we never saw that compo coming out of the bottom lane of FPX, and that kind of describes it perfectly with how hesitant they were when they opted into these team fights. I mean, the only hard-winning one for them was that Baron flip, but that's because the Varus was already half HP tanking the Baron, and you just kind of clean it up. Even cleaning up the fight, the Baron smite, went over to the hands of Aki, and he ends up 3-1-10 on this Gragas.
Yeah, I'd love to get a breakdown of like the damage in terms of like physical and magic. I find those still very, very curious. It's like, did you end up taking a load of magic damage? Did you end up taking not that much at all? Didn't really matter. Either way, it is still a victory for OMG. FPX, they got to try something a little bit different now, as we're going to send it to a quick break. And when we return, we're going to have game 2